Welcome everyone to DSST's Slice of Pie 2021. My name is Bill Kurtz and I'm the CEO of DSST Public Schools. And I want to start by thanking our generous sponsors who are supporting our students and schools tonight. I appreciate the fact that this has been a tough year, so thank you for joining us for this virtual event. And now I want to introduce our board member, the one and only Mr. Billy Brown, who's going to be our MC tonight.
Hello, Bill. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today and take part in this way. As you can see, I'm super excited to be part of such an incredible organization. I'm already inspired by the work that we're doing here at DSST. I can't wait.
Billy, all I can say is wow. Like, I feel underdressed.
You didn't get the memo.
Can I get one of those?
This won't fit you.
Oh, man. Well, you look good, Billy. Well, you look
Thanks,
good.
Bill.
So I want to say, first of all, though, you know our job tonight is to help raise money for our students and our schools. And so I want to make sure folks are logging into Handbid and buying items off of our wishing wall. Now, our schools have put items on the wishing wall, and some of my favorites are, we have a wireless weather station to study the weather down at College View High School. We have a rooftop garden at our Byers Middle School. We even got some drum sets for Cole Middle School. There are a lot of great things to support our students and schools, and I hope that you will log in and buy those items. You also can support DSST just with a donation outright. So please log in and remember that we are trying to hit an important goal tonight for our students and families. And to help that, Billy, I got a little prop for you today.
All
Let's
right.
see what you can do with this.
Spinner. Brings me back to my good old days. See if I can still pull this off. Oh,
That
still
is
got
impressive. In that jacket?
Yes.
Impressive.
Yes.
Impressive.
it. Handbid, DSST, make a donation. Got it, Bill.
Wow. We are in good shape here, Billy. We are in good shape. With you spinning all night, are you going to spin all night?
Yes.
Yes, all
Whatever
right.
it takes.
Like that. All right, well, Billy, when you're not spinning, since you are our newest board member, I do want you to get more acquainted with DSST. And you probably know that we serve about 7,000 students in Denver and Aurora in our 15 schools. You know that we want 100% of our students to have a post-secondary option of their choice. You know that most importantly, we want our students to become the best versions of themselves in our schools. So tonight, you're going to get a chance, Billy, to learn a little bit more from our students, from our faculty, from our board members about what makes DSST tick. And then we have a special wrap-up tonight with a chat with Reed Hastings, co-CEO and founder of Netflix, who also happens to be a big supporter of charter schools across the country and DSST. So we got a great night ahead of us, but we're going to start with two very special people, our board chair, Gloria Zamora, and George Sparks, a board member, also president of the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, who are going to share why they got involved with DSST and what inspires them about our work. Are you ready, Billy?
Bill, you had me at free Netflix subscription for life.
I think we might be able to arrange that. I don't know. What do you think?
Please hook it up.
All right.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to tonight. I'm going to learn as much as I can. I'm going to take copious notes with my notepad and pen, and I'll check back with you later on. Thanks, Bill.
Excellent.
Thank you, Bill. And hello, Billy. Welcome to the DSST Public School Board of Directors. We're thrilled that you have joined us. I'm Gloria Zamora, and I am board chair for the DSST Public Schools Board of Directors.
Hi, I'm George Sparks. I've been on the DSST board for 5 years. I'm the CEO of the Denver Museum of Nature and Science.
When I was first introduced to DSST, which was about 7 years ago, I was very concerned about the dropout rate of so many students in Denver and the Front Range, particularly students of color, Latinos, Black students, and other minorities. And then I learned that since its founding, 100% of our high school seniors have been accepted to a 4-year college. Wow, now I was hooked. But it really rang true for me when I learned that DSST is a school that's rooted in values like respect and responsibility, courage, curiosity, and it really matters that our students go on to live purposeful lives that are value-based and they feel success in whatever pursuits they choose to follow.
Well, I think DSST is the embodiment of the American dream, that everybody should be able to get a world-class education regardless of where you were born or what your parents do or how much money you have. And DSST makes that real for kids in Denver. I'd like to see DSST continue to grow and build upon its past successes. I'd like it to become the exemplar of what every school should be in America, not just every charter school, but every school, and that every kid has a chance to get a great education.
DSST es muy importante para mí. Yo soy latina, nacido en los Estados Unidos, pero mis papás vienen de México. Y desde muy chiquita, mis papás nos decían, a mí, a mi hermano y a mi hermana, que el camino para una mejor vida era la educación. Y nosotros tuvimos la buena suerte de tener muy buena educación. Y nuestros hijos también han tenido la buena suerte de muy buena educación. Y DSST es ese paso para nuestros estudiantes. Es el futuro que esperamos para todos nuestros hijos.
The thing that probably affected me the most was watching the seniors come up when they announced what college they were going to. And that experience was really something that I'll never forget. That each and every student was accepted into a 4-year university was just such an incredible experience for me to watch.
I know that at DSST, we may have the next Nobel chemist, maybe the next DSST science or math teacher. My hopes and dreams is that every student comes to DSST and experiences the joy of learning, builds community with friends and teachers, and leave DSST with the academic foundation and the confidence to pursue those things that are going to make them successful throughout their whole lives. One day I was at College View Middle School, and the translator hadn't come to work yet. And so a parent had come and wanted to visit, and they needed someone to speak Spanish. So I had the pleasure of sitting down with this parent. And she was so excited because her son, who was a new 6th grade student, had experienced so much success. He was happy, he was learning, and she was thrilled because he had struggled in the schools he had gone to before. Well, fast forward several years, and I'm at a slice of pie at Montview High School. And I run into this parent, and we remember each other. And she was so excited to tell me that her student was displaying his project. And so we got to walk over and see this amazing project, and this parent who was just bubbling with pride and excitement. And I think of that student every day.
So in 2003, when I retired from Hewlett-Packard, I decided I wanted to go into education. I noticed a job posting, I'm not sure where because it was well before the internet, for headmaster of a charter school in Denver called Denver School of Science and Technology. And I looked at that job posting and I thought that would be the coolest job. I think I'll apply for that job. Luckily for me and for tens of thousands of students, I did not apply. And they hired Bill Kurtz, and as they say, the rest is history.
donate to DSST, we may be donating to the next DSST graduate that becomes that engineer that goes to work for one of the Colorado space programs. Or maybe a researcher who is working with a biomed startup. Or a promising teacher who has the key to make all students fall in love with science. That's what we donate to.
Supporting DSST allows us to have every student have a chance to get the best education that they can and continue on and go to a college of their choice. So your gift to DSST is something that will be turned around in the economy and in people's lives, not just for that individual student, but for generations to come.
Okay, Billy, I'm going to turn it back over to you. I can't wait to see what's in store for all of us.
Thank you, Gloria. It was great to hear from you. Rest assured, I'm taking good notes. It's an honor to be among such great leaders in the Denver community. I appreciate your sharing what inspires you and keeps you involved. I'm looking forward to many more years of working together to ensure that we continue to meet the missions of this great organization. Put down your glass of rosé and pick up your keyboard or your phone and log into HandBid. Start making decisions about what you'd like to select from our virtual wishing wall. These items are on our school director's wish lists, and they're things that would enhance our schools and increase opportunities for our students and their success. That information is on the bottom of your screen, so check it out now. You know, one of the things that I've discovered about DSST since I joined the board is that this organization is not a one-trick pony. Yes, we are committed to providing a world-class education for our students that's centered around science, technology, engineering, and math, but we believe that students should also have opportunities to express themselves in a variety of ways, and that includes the arts. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you tonight one of our teachers who works in that space, Mr. Mike Lang. Mike is the music teacher at DSST Byers, and he's put together a group to provide us with some entertainment this evening. Mike, take it away.
Se acerca el día de tu final. Vive feliz ahora mientras puedas. Tal vez mañana no tengas tiempo para sentirte despertar.
Siente correr la sangre por tus venas. Siembra tu tierra y ponte a trabajar. Deja volar libre tu pensamiento. Deja el rencor para otro tiempo. Echa tu barca a navegar.
Abre tus brazos fuertes a la vida. No dejes nada a la deriva. El cielo nada te caerá. Trata de ser feliz con lo que tienes. Vive la vida intensamente. Luchándolo conseguirás.
Y cuando llegue el fin, tu despedida, seguro es que feliz sonreirás.
que amabas, por encontrar lo que buscabas, porque viviste hasta el final.
Abre tus brazos fuertes a la vida, no dejes nada a la deriva, del cielo nada te caerá. Trata de ser feliz con lo que tienes, vive la vida intensamente, luchando lo conseguirás.
Abre tus brazos fuertes a la vida, no dejes nada a la deriva, del cielo nada te caerá. Trata de ser feliz con lo que tienes, vive la vida intensamente, luchándolo
I want to take just a second to remind everyone that in addition to learning more about the good work of DSST, we're also raising money for our students. I'm going to ask you to take a minute to log into Handbid and browse through our virtual wishing wall. That information is on the bottom of your screen, so log in now. You're going to see a ton of items that our school director submitted, ranging from $5 to $5,000. There's literally something for everyone out there. You can also just make a donation directly to DSST to use wherever we need it the most. Please know that we appreciate every dollar and there's no gift too small, so log in and make that contribution tonight. It'll make a world of difference. Now, I've been looking forward to this all night, folks. This is where I get to hear from some of our students about their experiences. Our Director of Marketing, Content and Brand, Andy Mindrop, has put together a panel who will tell us about what DSST means to them and their families. This is where the real work of DSST takes place. This is where lives are changed and where people find hope. I'll let him make the introductions. Take it away, Andy.
Thanks, Billy. I'm really excited to facilitate this panel with one of our students and one of our alumni as we learn a little bit more about them and about DSST. I want to welcome you both. Thank you so much for being here today. And want to talk with you a lot about where you've come from at DSST and where you're hoping to go. Derek, maybe we could start with you. You were a founding class member at DSST Montview, DSST's first class. Talk a little bit about that.
It was a great experience. DSST helped me to get into the University of Colorado at Boulder and ultimately set me on the path that has gotten me to being a master's candidate at DU.
And knowing that you were a part of just that very first class, which wasn't even 100 students when it started as a ninth grade, it's probably pretty wild to think that Sheena is part of our sixth campus. And we're making reference to DSST Conservatory Green High School, which has its first graduating class this year, 100% of which have been accepted to college, which is super exciting, Sheena. You're a junior. Talk a little bit about what that hallmark means to you.
I honestly, for me, I just feel really excited. I'm really proud of everyone, all the students, specifically the seniors, just because I've known them since sixth grade. So that was maybe around 2000, I want to say 14, 15. And just to see them grow, just to see them all, help each other get to where they are now, to where we're now 100% college acceptance, I think that is just amazing.
What's been special about your DSST experience? And maybe, Sheena, we could start with you.
One of the things that's made my experience at DSST special specifically has just been the community feel. It's very family-like and very friendly. Everyone knows each other. And so with that, I think it's encouraged me and has pushed me to be a better student just because we are all helping each other and we are all motivating each other to be better.
What about for you, Derek? When you think back to your time at DSST Montview, which was then called DSST Stapleton, what was really special about that experience to you?
DSST does a tremendous job of fostering a very closely knit community. And they had an excellent civics course that I took that really sparked my interest in government, and which is kind of the thing that ultimately led me to pursuing my bachelor's in political science and this media program at DU.
And I know you've had actually a few career moves that relate to that too. Derek, can you talk about those as well?
So after graduating from CU Boulder in 2013, I'd applied for one more internship, and that was an internship at the White House. I moved from Denver to Washington, D.C., and was an intern for President Barack Obama in his Office of Scheduling and Advance. And working at that level of government have really been a bird's eye view, and taken what I learned in that DSST class about the three branches of government and given me this perspective that was a front seat to witnessing those theories take place in person.
Definitely a really amazing career trajectory already, Derek. And and kind of shifting to you, Sheena. I mean, Derek's talked a little bit about what his hopes were when he was at Montview. Kind of curious what your hopes are, and kind of as you think about the next step in senior year and beyond.
Yes, going forward, I plan on doing a couple internships for the FBI and finding some specifically for forensic science. And in college, I plan to, the goal is to really go to a HBCU in Texas so I'm able to study forensic science and I'm able to get a career in it. So it can really help me build my career interest.
Is there anyone at each of your schools that you can think back to that really has championed you or really supported you during your time at DSST?
It was my English teacher in freshman year, Miss Meter, Kelly Meter. She really helped me on my path of really finding myself, and she was just amazing. She supported me both personally and as a student and in my academics and everything.
What about for you, Derek? Is there someone from your time at Montview that sticks out as a supporter?
For me, that's Mark Heffron, who was my math teacher my junior year. He tutored me and mentored me and just went above and beyond. And because of that, I ended up at the end of my junior year, I got the school's Most Improved Award. And that was a huge thing for me. And so, without Mr. Heffron's support, and I'm sure the countless other teachers like him, I definitely would not have been as successful at CU as I was.
Do you each have a core value that you feel like kind of embodies who you are or who you want to be? And would you be willing to talk a little bit about that?
For me, I think it'd be curiosity. I've always been this kind of person that just wanted to know more, learn more. So I think curiosity really embodies who I am as a person.
Great. Curiosity would definitely help as a forensic investigator.
For sure.
What about for you, Derek?
For me, it's integrity. The world is, it can be hard. And integrity and having that kind of sense that I will get through this and that, I will not bend even at my most difficult of moments has been instrumental in my own personal success.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for joining me here today and talking a little bit about your experience at DSST. I wish you both the absolute best of luck, Derek, in your as you move through grad school and finish that off, and Sheena, as you graduate next year. Big things on the horizon. So thank you both.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you so much.
All right, Billy, I do have one more introduction to make. We have so many amazing students across our network, and each one of them could be the focus of a story, but I have one special story to bring to you tonight. Ana Salazar has been a student at DSST College View since 6th grade and is graduating this year. And this video introduces her, several of her teachers, and her college success advisor as she goes off to college this upcoming year.
Hello, my name is Ana Cristina Salazar Chavez. I am a senior at DSST College View High School.
The senior we met attends DSST College View High School here. Thanks to a little guidance from her counselor, she's accomplished what for now feels like the impossible to many students.
So I always knew that I wanted to go to college. I lived right in front of a university when I was little. I would see all the students that would go in and out of the university. And so my parents sort of told me how that is where I will go in life.
Ana is a inspirational student, to say the least, and to be quite honest, she is the pinnacle of what American colleges seek at their universities.
Ana Salazar is so special because she brings grace with her every day to school.
Ana reacquainted me with Unflagging Hope. She is definitely one of those students that is very optimistic.
I would love to describe Ana's journey throughout the entire college application process as if she was hiking a 14er here in Colorado. She applied to a slew of the most selective colleges in the United States.
I started researching about universities, and I would see the costs, I would see the thousands of dollars that it was, and it's like, well, that's a lot of money. DSST showed me that there was more than one way to go to university. If I do well in my school, if I go to the tutorings that my school offers, if I do well on my tests, if I do well in my classes, there is a possibility that I could go to college. And so I went up to my mom and I asked her, and she said, "You lose nothing in trying." And that has sort of been my entire mentality ever since the start of my high school career.
I'm proud of you no matter what.
I clicked the link and it's like, it was just a small I matched, and then that's when he yelled, and it's like, the absolute shock of having just having a full ride at Notre Dame. It's just like, I got accepted to Notre Dame in December on a full ride. I remember feeling just complete relief. All of the fruits of my labor had finally paid off.
When a student really wants something so badly and they see that actually happen, it is such a powerful moment.
The fact that she got a full ride was relieving because I know that she now will have the freedom to study and pursue her many interests and curiosities without the burden of that financial component.
I would like to patent something or create something that could help the world.
I come back to DSST year after year because I look forward to working with students like Ana, who have a college-bound mindset, who maybe are first-generation college students like I'd been myself.
DSST is special to me because of their mission. Every school has the goal to have 100% of their students be accepted to a four-year university. And it is because of that goal that I have received the support that I have received. It is because of that goal that my community has become something that's really important to me.
Wow. That's all I can say, Andy. Thank you so much. What an inspirational bunch. And Ana Salazar, her story is incredible. Getting to know her whole story was a real revelation. And by the way, Ana, good luck at Notre Dame. Now, for all of you who have not already made your gift to tonight's event, it's not too late. We'll be accepting donations through midnight tonight. But what are you waiting for? The information is on the bottom of your screen right now. All right, Bill, I've already learned a ton, and I've been taking good notes, so I'll be ready for my test at the next board meeting. I know that everyone has been looking forward to your interview with Reed so we can learn more about his passion for education and what lit that fire for him. By the way, don't forget to ask him about my lifetime membership to Netflix. Hook me up, okay? I'll turn things back over to you, Bill. Take it away.
Good evening, Reed. Thanks so much for taking time tonight to be with us and to spend some time talking about your experience with Netflix and with charter schools and with education across the country. We're so grateful for this time. I want to start by just thanking you for the investment that you've made through some of our philanthropic partners to help us build our new Elevate campus in Northeast Denver. It's been such an important project here in Denver because of the politics of it and the opportunity that we can ensure all kids get a high-quality education regardless of the adult politics in the city. And we're just grateful for your support. It's going to be a beautiful $35 million facility. So thanks for supporting that, Reed. I really appreciate it.
Well, Bill, the investment in Netflix for people was a good one, but the investment in DSST is extraordinary and will continue to provide education for, probably at least 100 years ahead. So those are great new buildings you're building.
Well, thank you, Reed. Thank you. So let's jump in. Let's be honest. I think people love to get to know folks like you a little bit. So I'd love to start with a few rapid fire questions that we can just kind of build a little understanding of Reed Hastings. So let's just start with, education, the topic of high school. And what was Reed's class in high school? What was your thing?
Ooh, I was pretty nerdy on the chess team, not on the hockey team. And hadn't really found my groove. So I was sort of middle of the road grade-wise, middle of the road passion-wise, and definitely not in the most likely to succeed club.
I can understand that. Now let's talk about what was the worst grade or academic moment you had in high school. Do you remember that?
World history. We had a teacher that looked like Madeleine Albright and was probably equally brilliant. But I was just maybe, 10th grade learning about world history, and it just seemed like incredibly remote and abstract and irrelevant to my teenage and insecure brain. So I'm amazed at all of you that are able to make these very important topics interesting and relevant for our students today.
My son, I think, who's in high school right now, would concur with that. So let's jump into what did you want to be when you grew up? I mean, what moment in childhood did you say, this is what I want to be, and what was it?
I didn't really know much about business, and so it wasn't business. I thought I'd be an engineer, maybe a scientist. Physics was the area that I was most excited about. So kind of very definitely technical physics engineering.
So this could be a dangerous question to ask the founder of Netflix, but are you a book or a movie person?
Oh, I've become all movie. Now if there's a good book, I'm like, I'll wait until they make a movie of it, and then get the 90-minute version.
So do you read books at all at this point?
A little bit, but much less. I mean, again, the full engaging visual story is exciting, but then there's like some biographies that we'll never make a movie out of because it's just too, obscure. Then I'll focus on the book.
And did you ever have an interest in film, before starting Netflix? Was that ever an interest?
I mean, I was a typical consumer, renting VHS from Blockbuster once or twice a week. And but I was not a passion guy. I didn't stay up and watch the Oscars or any of that stuff.
You have 3 hours on a weekend, which may be a rare occurrence, but what does Reed do with 3 free hours on a weekend?
About half the time browse Netflix, about half the time go for a walk, sort of contemplative.
Excellent. Well, let's jump into a little bit of Netflix. And as I think about DSST, there's certainly moments that were turning points for us. Is there a moment that stands out for you that was the turning point that made Netflix what it is today?
It's been more than 20 years, and I would say there's been a grind at many junctures. So there was the first couple years, which was just trying to break even, stop losing money so that we could survive. Then there was this huge battle with Blockbuster for many years. Then there was getting into streaming. Then there was figuring out original content. Then there was expanding around the world and trying to do that. And then there's competition with Disney and HBO now that's the big leagues. So all of it is exciting, difficult, and then there's little gaps in between where you get to catch your breath. But right now we're in, we got to out-execute, have the best shows in the world, have the things that everybody's talking about relative to HBO and Disney.
And when you think about it, and I think about really successful companies, many companies have a one business cycle, great idea, history, and then they struggle in the next cycle. And it seems like Netflix has had 4 or 5 kind of reinventions, if you will, over the years. And technology and entertainment probably requires you to do that. But what has been the through line that's helped you reinvent every time and frankly come out on top?
Yeah, I mean, we're always curious about what's coming next and kind of maintain that curiosity. I think it helps that we were born on DVD and we knew DVD was temporary. And so we never expected it to last. And so we always knew we were going to have to be nimble to survive.
When you think about kind of the flip side, was there a moment over the last 20 years that sticks out to you that's like, I don't think we're going to make it? And it was that moment of like, this dream may come to an end. Can you remember one of those?
No, I've never had an idea that this is going to end. I mean, I describe the key skill of an entrepreneur is to be able to jump out of a plane with no parachute because you assume a bird is going to come by and catch you. And so most entrepreneurs are irrationally and unproductively optimistic. And then occasionally when they do jump, a bird does come by, and then we laud them just like you're lauding me. So there's a tremendous amount of luck because you end up taking a whole bunch of irrational risks.
So not to have you bear Netflix secrets here, but where are we going to be in 10 years? Where is this going? It feels like COVID has had a pretty dramatic impact on the entertainment business in terms of platforms and how people see content. Where is this all going?
Just I think up and to the right. I mean, the internet is an incredibly powerful force, and we'll get fiber optic to, every village around the world. We'll be way more interconnected. Telemedicine, teleeducation, certainly streaming entertainment. So just think of the internet, think of the future of video conferencing as you've got a pretty big monitor and it's kind of around you and it's got, you never get buffering and it's got incredible sound and microphones built into it. So it will feel more and more natural. The cameras in your systems will be, much, much better. So a lot of improvement coming in how we interact over the internet, and that'll have profound effects in education. We'll have to figure out the hybridization of education, like, older kids, high school kids, maybe halftime, on video conference, like in the mornings and halftime in the afternoon, you'll be able to do twice as many kids for the same space. So I'm sure there'll still be some interpersonal time because that's so important for kids, both for the adult role modeling and for the kid-to-kid interaction, but there'll also be a lot of virtual education. So we're if you look at how the automobile reconfigured our society because you could travel much longer distances than on a horse, that was a profound transformation. If you look at how the elevator transformed the urban landscape because you get up tall buildings, that was very profound. And internet and streaming, is going to be a really big change and enable a lot of new ways of interacting, again, which will affect business, education, and every other sector.
Is the movie theater as it is constituted today a dead thing?
Do you know how to cook, Bill?
I don't know. You maybe should ask my kids that. Maybe they could answer that question better than I. But I cook a little.
You still go to a restaurant. So think of it as, sometimes we want to do it in home a lot of the time and we'll cook our dinner, and sometimes it's fun to go out. And movie theaters are about going out. Just think of movie theaters to in-home viewing as restaurants are to in-home cooking.
So you're not ready to give up on that concept and think there's still room there for that sector to grow.
It's super fun for part of your entertainment to go out to the movie theater.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go back to what you just talked about, which is, and kind of the intersection of entertainment and education and kids. Can you get into a place where the kids are on screens too much? I mean, obviously there's all these stories about Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla Chan limiting their kids' screen time and all the rest of it. Like, where do you fall in that debate of screen time and kids?
Yeah, I'm sure there's, too much of anything. is not a great thing. And we've been slammed, with COVID to this radical all the time. But again, the screens over 5 or 10 years are going to get a lot better. The interaction paradigms will get a lot healthier. So I don't think it's like a fixed ratio. Like, it might be 2 hours today as like the healthy order. But, again, with the improvement in what's available and what you're doing online, it may be that it can go up quite a bit. Again, with the improvement of technology, just think back about 10 years ago, about 15 years ago was the first iPhone. And it was super primitive. There was no app store. It was small. The battery life was terrible, and it's like the iPhone's gotten so much better in the last 15 years. And, that's just kicked off now for video conferencing. So there'll be a ton of improvements in the software. There'll be a ton of improvements in the hardware.
And so you think the healthiness of the interaction will improve and it will become just a more integrated part of life, is what I hear you saying.
Yeah, that's right. And, look, there still will be cases where, like, kids in virtual reality goggles, for 8 hours in some immersive game that's not healthy. And, like, there'll be some cases where it's gone too far. But as a general rule, people forget about how much better the technology is getting. And so just think about it as we've been living full time in the, Zoom laptop world. And that is a pretty primitive state compared to what will be available in 5 years.
Interesting. Well, let's hone in on education a little bit. And I think I think you and I maybe met 10 years ago, and I think one of the themes that certainly you've kind of shared with me is charter schools are really the place you believe have the biggest lever point to making change in public education in this country. Why? Why did you end up there?
Yeah, I mean, look, it'd be much better if we could just fix school districts, because then we wouldn't have to reinvent the school system. And I and most people tried that first. And then what you realize is in larger school districts around the United States, the average superintendent only lasts 3 years. Okay, and so like in Denver, you had a long run, with Boasberg, but it's regressing to the norm, which is rapid turnover. Again, if you look at 50 large school districts, over 50 years, the average is 3 years. So that's because of the school board politics, which are very tough. So it's a deep problem. And then if the leader turns over every 3 years, super hard to make progress. And so we get suburbia where, by and large, there's stable school boards, stable superintendents, and the public school system works okay. And then we get large urban districts, like Denver, Los Angeles, San Jose, where you get this constant turnover. And so the kids that need it most get the worst version of education. And so there really isn't a solution for that, and that's defeated, legions of reformers. Because again, if the leader changes every 3 years and the direction changes, it's impossible. So if you think of DSST, the real advantage it has is it's a nonprofit board structure. And the board is interested in always getting better. And like you've been in your seat for a long time, and that's great. That's how you can make a difference. And your successor will have many of the same ideas. They're not trying to completely reverse the approach of the last person. And it's that steadiness that allows excellence to emerge. So it doesn't guarantee that every nonprofit is going to be amazing. But it does say as excellence emerge, like in DSST, it's stable and it grows and then it expands. And that's one of the key things. So that's why I think charters or more precisely nonprofit governance is the key to nurturing excellence. Because schools are a service business, like a hotel. You got to have amazing teachers, and that's what makes the difference. And your org structure is really set up to support, develop, attract, retain amazing teachers. And when you do that, your kids are so well served. And that's what I mean by it being a service business, which takes steady operational excellence.
Yeah, and I think if I recall some of the conversations you and I have had, and I think you've certainly written about, is that people are really the biggest asset any organization has. And it seems like Netflix has taken that approach as well. Even though you're in the content business in a different business, but people really drive everything, and I think that's certainly true in education. How do you think about that? Are there any kind of parallels for you with Netflix and kind of what we do at DSST in terms of how we manage or lead people?
Not a ton. I mean, we're in the for-profit side. We want to kill our competitors. You want to help your competitors because you want the district to do well, right? You want the other charters in Denver and beyond to do well. You're open book. You share your best practices. We have trade secrets. Yeah. Think of it this way, like universities, last a long time. No company has ever lasted as long as, Harvard or Stanford or anything else, because all the other companies are trying to kill it. That produces value for society because consumers are better served. But I would say the intensity of the competitiveness for-profits is much higher than nonprofits. And then, churches compete with each other, but they're even more gentle than your sector. Yeah. And then politics is even more aggressive than my sector. Like politicians, they go after each other with much more aggressively than companies do. Yeah. And then, of course, there's war as the ultimate aggression. So just think of it as a continuum.
Yeah, yeah. And as you think about the future of public education, and you could wave the magic wand, the proverbial magic wand, what are the couple things that you think we as a country should do to improve outcomes for kids, which is why we do this?
Well, most important thing is to figure out ways to get our charter school parents to vote every election and at high numbers. Because if we do that, we can have a lot of influence at the school board level to have an even deal for charter schools. And that will help our expansion, which then becomes a positive reinforcing loop. And the charters then are serving the children, again, with very mission-focused organizations. And so, again, in a democracy, it all comes down to votes. And so it's getting charter school parents, compare your list to the list of voters registered, get everybody registered, get everybody voting, make it a point of pride. And if our electoral voice is strong in school board elections, it's amazing. Politicians then will like us a lot more and be supportive. So that's the most important thing we can do.
Is there, on the next layer down, are there things that you think would build the capacity of the system to do better work, if you will?
The problem with that is, let's say, obviously Boasberg made a bunch of improvements and changes, and then they'll be systematically taken apart over the next 10 years, right? Because that's what happened in every other district before it. So, it's the problem is we have these elected school boards and they're good people, but how do you win election? You run on change. That's what everybody always runs on. And so you just get this constant turmoil at the school board level, which isn't anyone's fault. It's just not the perfect system. And, we're the only nation in the world that has this local school board system. So it's a, artifact of our agrarian, past. And we're not going to be able to change it directly, but we can change the effectiveness for our kids if most of the education is from nonprofits like DSST expanding.
So I think you had the chance to watch our video of Ana, our amazing senior, and as you know, we have tens and 20 and hundreds of those stories and videos of students accomplishing things like Ana, and she's an amazing young person, and that's really what we hope to do, as you know, Reed, is to give all of our students opportunities like she has gotten with the University of Notre Dame. What is your reaction when you saw that video? What does that do for you?
Well, of course, I love her story, and so I'm, enchanted, and to get a full ride at Notre Dame is amazing, and so that's great. But I think the most impressive thing about DSST is not the leading kids, because many kids like her were so motivated, they were going to succeed despite the challenges, but it's how we reach down and, first to the median kid to make sure that they're prospering, and then to the bottom decile of the kids in kind of academic and social preparation and really help them achieve their potential. So it's really the breadth that's important here. So, it's great to have some legendary heroic examples like Ana, but what's most impressive about you and the other leading charter networks, how much you care for all the kids. and reach down to lift up the kids that need it most.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think, one thing that we're most proud of this year is that the average DSST senior got acceptances to 6 or more universities and colleges. So not only are they getting an acceptance, but we're giving them a choice, which, as you know, I think is a really important part of agency for young people.
Absolutely.
So let's close up here with your incredibly generous gift to the HBCUs in this country, and tell us, why did you make that gift to those universities?
Let's see, there's a long story behind it, which is I'm on a board with the head of the United Negro College Fund, Michael Lomax. And so for years, we've talked about how do we transform higher ed, which he's involved in full time. And he had gotten my wife, Patty, and I to be donors to Spelman and Morehouse, where he went for the last 5 or so years, and to visit and really try to form some of those relationships. And then, with the murder of George Floyd and the explosion of racial reckoning that we had last year, we realized that there really is not only a problem of, police brutality, there's also a problem of just capital isolation. So, people like me tend to go as an undergrad to predominantly white institutions. And then if we're fortunate or very successful, we give back to those institutions that we know and love. And so there's a persistent capital isolation where capital doesn't flow into the HBCUs. So this was just a step to sort of address the racial reckoning and address a real need. And, before us and after us, there's lots of other HBCU donors. And what the HBCUs have done is something that you guys can study too, which is really create a sense of belonging and acceptance for Black college students. And then, that the lessons from that apply in DSST, which is how are we creating a sense of belonging for our Latinx students, for our Black students, for our underrepresented students of all types. Because when the students feel like they have a right to be there, like they belong there, they relax and they can focus on the academics. And so if, DSST and others can continue to focus on belonging and a sense of entitlement and security, it also helps the academics, which help their lives. So, there's a lot of great lessons in there.
Yeah, I think you're right. And as you know, Reed, I think the CMO movement has learned a lot about that. And I think over the last 20 years, I think the HBCUs and other institutions have helped us understand the importance of that. And let's be honest, I think we didn't understand that as well as we could have early on in the movement.
No, I'd say we understood it better than districts, but not as well and as we could have. But again, that's because we have all these different nonprofits and we're all learning organizations. Yeah. We're creative and questioning things and changing. And the charter school sector's rate of improvement is just phenomenal. And whether that's around technology, whether that's around creating stronger sense of belonging, whether that's around college admissions and counseling, just great improvements on the last 10 years. And we'll continue to do that for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm optimistic about where we're going for sure. Well, I just want to say, Reed, thank you for, one, just supporting millions of students across the country. I think your commitment to our cause, your investment in the movement of serving kids better in our public schools, the time you spend doing that, and now your work with HBCUs, we have a debt of gratitude to pay to you for that investment. And your time and wisdom and energy is so important and contagious. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for being a friend of DSST and spending time with us tonight.
Well, Bill, you have assembled an incredible staff and they do great work for students. So I'm all in. Have a great evening, all of you, and thank you for supporting DSST.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you, Reed. We appreciate your taking the time to visit with us tonight and for all the good work that you do in the charter school space and for education reform. It's crucial. It's our future, so we thank you again. Lastly, I'll make sure not to share my password with my mom anymore. Sorry, Mom. I want to thank all of you for tuning into tonight's event, and I want to express Once again, the sincere appreciation to our sponsors. Your generous support means the world to us and to our kids, knowing that you're changing the lives for the better. If you haven't made a donation to tonight's event, it's not too late. You can log in to Handbid and contribute right up through midnight. But why wait? That information is on the bottom of your screen. In the good words of my friend Arnold, do it now! Do it! Log in! Thanks again, everyone, and good night.
Thank you all for joining us this evening for Slice of Pie. We're so grateful that you have spent this time with us tonight to learn some of the stories of our students and alumni and to learn a little bit more about DSST. I want to especially thank tonight our sponsors who have made this night possible and who have given so much of their resources to our students and our schools to support the mission of DSST. I want to start with our co-chair level sponsors, the Malone Family Foundation, the Barton Family Foundation, our leadership level sponsors, Steve and Susan Hallstatt, the Anna and John J. C. Foundation, Balin Nair and Jojo Chaco Nair, our core value sponsors, Bunny and Jay Bush, our champion level sponsors, Build Strong Education and the Caruso Foundation, and of course a special thanks to Reed Hastings for his interview tonight and for our great MC, Billy Brown. I also want to thank all the DSST team who worked on this event to make it possible. It's been a spectacular night learning about our mission, about our students, and their stories, and we're so grateful for your support. Because of your generosity, we have raised over $300,000 tonight to support our students and our schools. We're so grateful for that. Thank you for joining us again, and I hope you have a wonderful night.